Hey guys, Brian Liebelt here from Liebelt Guide Service. Wanted to show you, give you a couple tips on how I like to run tip-ups over the ice fishing season. Ice fishing is going to be happening here. Probably first ice will be on here on the 30th up here in northern New York. So I just want to kind of take the time to show you some of the different techniques that I use and kind of tricks that I use to help me keep fishing on the ice, fishing efficiently, and actually getting out there and catching them. A couple different kinds of tip-ups I use. Heritage Lakers. Those are the stick-type tip-ups right here. Heritage Lakers. Kind of set up just like that. The other thing I like to use with them is the HT hole covers. These things are great. Basically slide them onto your tip-up. Now, using them with these Heritages, you kind of got to cut the hole a little bit bigger, because they have a smaller hole on there. They're made for fishing. Some other HTs are like plastic type tip-ups that they have. But these ones, you cut a little hole in here, you slide this thing on here, it keeps your hole from freezing up. Works out really great. I like to use the Heritages when there's a lot of deep snow. They get run over, your tip-ups get run over by snowmobiles and guys on four-wheelers. These types of tip-ups, like the thermals, they run really well. They can get run over by a snowmobile. They're great. The only problem is the flag. The flags are kind of like these telescoping flags. If you contact HT, they'll get you in contact with a guy out in Wisconsin. They will actually send you these flags for free if you already own their tip-ups, and all you got to do is pay the shipping. One of the things that I like to do with all my tip-ups is I like to run, instead of running split shot, I like to run a bullet weight. Now what the bullet weight does for me is the bullet weight actually slides on the line. So it's less likely that you're going to get caught up on vegetation. It's the winter time, there still is vegetation, especially if you're fishing pike, even shallow, even into some deeper weed beds. The split shot can actually get caught on the weeds and you can lose a fish. So I like to use the sliding bullet weight. I rig them backwards. So for you bass guys, you probably rig this the other way. It really helps me, from getting caught up on the weeds. And also, it slides. It also helps me to sound the bottom without having to use a clip weight. They're great. Fluorocarbon. Some of you guys out there run fluorocarbon. I love running fluorocarbon. I run a mix of both steel leader and fluorocarbon. The biggest pain with fluorocarbon is that if you put it around if you store it around your spool, it ends up like this. Not good. Because when you put it in the water, if you ever took a camera and looked at it under the water, your bait's on here and it's kind of squirrely. It's not a very good presentation. So what I like to do is I like to store my hooks and my leaders inside of one of these, basically it's pipe insulation. You get it at like Home Depot. You get a pack of 6 of them. You cut them to length, the size you want, and I store, as you can see, I got a bunch of different lines stored in there. I store it in there and it comes out pretty straight. Then when you pull these off the spool, especially, what I like to do is a couple of months ahead of time, ahead of the ice season, I'll pull, tie my 80-pound test fluorocarbon on here, and I'll take some weights and I'll clip like basically bass sinkers on there, and I'll hang them, get them nice and straight. And then once they're nice and straight, I put them in there, and they work really well. Some guys use 100 pounds, some guys use 60 pounds. I just use 80. It's always worked out for me. I've never had a fish actually, bite through the line. But I still run steel leader. It's actually this is actually a kind of a system that takes a little bit of time, because you got to clip this on to your swivel. I like to get a couple of lines in real quick just to see if the fish are biting. And it helps me essentially get my lines in the water early. So if I know where they're biting, I can tell they're biting down low, biting up high. And then if as the sun comes up, and especially on clear ice with no snow, that's when your fluorocarbon is going to come into play, because the fish are going to be able to see that line. The other thing I like to do out on the ice is I like to run different kinds of patterns, and to keep track of what tip ups are running deep and are running, running shallow, I use a couple of different things. I use one of those little bobbers, either bobber stomps or the little bobbers that HT sells to know what my depth is. If I don't have that for the day, say I forget it at home, I have my tip ups numbered. So I can mark off, okay, 1's high, 2's low, 3's high, 4's in the middle of the water column. It really helps me, and I always carry a little notebook out on the ice with me so I know if I can start picking up on patterns. That way, if I got to change everything to a mid-water column because that's where all the fish are hitting, it really helps me out there. If you guys have any more questions, there is a knot that I tie for fluorocarbon. If you want to see that, go ahead and post up in the comments below. Especially the high-end fluorocarbon, or the high pound test fluorocarbon, 80 pound. A lot of guys use crimps, really don't need to. There's a knot that I know how to tie that has never ever failed me. I've tied 100-pound tests with this line, or with this particular knot, and it's amazing. I never had to use a crimp. But anyways, if you have any questions or you want to see that video, go ahead and post up in the comments below, and tight lines.